call may be recorded for monitoring and training purposes. All of our administrators are busy at the moment. Please hold the line and we will answer your call as soon as possible. Unfortunately, we are still busy. Please continue to hold. Unfortunately, we are still busy. Please continue to hold.
Yes, good afternoon, Sarah. It's Mr. Hussain here. I'm ringing on behalf of my brother, Mr. Talib Hussain, date of birth 15/9/1960. And can you kindly put me through to Christopher Browall?
I'll try to get you through, thank you. I'll be a moment.
Hi, Shazad.
Yo, hello, Mr. Browall. How are you?
I'm alright. You okay?
Yes, I'm okay. Yes. I thought I've been trying to contact you because obviously it's been a bank holiday weekend, and I'm just conscious that it's next week's is also a bank holiday weekend, and I wanted to speak to you since we last spoke to see what progress has been made, if any.
No, and I'm trying to arrange a professionals meeting. So I'm in the process of that. I mentioned about maybe yourself and Talib attending. I think it seems to be that at this stage that people don't think that would be a helpful or good idea at this stage.
Pardon? Can you say that again? Sorry to interrupt. Did you say who said this and what would be a good idea?
No, I'm not going to be naming names. I think that was the general consensus. I think that it wouldn't be particularly productive. It could cause more difficulties than it would solve, I think.
So can I ask why are you arranging a professionals meeting if it's to our exclusion and no doubt going to be to our detriment?
So it's to so I can voice some of your requests and some of your requests that you want to seek resolution for.
But do you represent me?
What's that? No, I'd like to think I'd represent Talib as much as I can in my capacity.
How do you exactly? I'm sorry, Mr. Browall, but I suspect something underhanded regarding this matter. You do not represent my brother. My brother's not asked you to represent him, and obviously I represent my brother. And obviously it's important for us to speak because I don't need you to go to a professionals meeting to voice my opinion when I'm not going to be there. Can you understand that? That doesn't make much sense to me.
So if I arrange for a meeting, would Talib be at that meeting?
Well, see, what I'm trying to understand is that what is this meeting about that you're looking to arrange? What's the purpose of it?
The purpose of it is because there's been no progress really. That you've got things that you're not happy with. From my side, Talib isn't getting access to his money. There's no progress, and I've requested that there's a meeting to see if I can, bring some of your requests to that meeting, see if there's any solutions that's provided, and then feed that back to yourself and Talib.
But are you saying it's upon my request that you're arranging this meeting?
I'm not saying it's upon your request. I'm just a bit exasperated.
Okay, all right.
As we've talked about what I can do.
All right, okay.
Nothing's moving forward.
Okay.
You're not happy.
Okay.
Talib isn't getting access to his money, and I'm kind of at a loss of what I can do.
Okay, all right. I mean, ideally, a professionals meeting is to our exclusion, whereas a MDT meeting would involve both my brother and myself. But just before we move on, I just wanted to question this aspect of you representing my brother. Now, in what capacity do you feel that you represent my brother? As his care coordinator or as a social worker?
would say is his care coordinator. You know, whether it's a case of representing him, you know, as his care coordinator, you know, I've got to try and be as much as I can a voice for Talib. So that's as much as I can.
Okay, all right. So let me just. Okay. So let me just focus in on this. Are you a registered? Because I tried to look you up on the social work register. Are you a registered social worker?
I am, yes.
Can I have your registration number?
I'm not going to start with that. I'll have to clear it with my manager if I'm going to start along that. I can be found as a registered. You can find that online.
Okay, yeah. I mean that's what I'm trying to say, because I tried to find out. You know, I went to Social Work England and tried to search for you, and I couldn't find it. Is it Chris Browall or Christopher Browall?
I think it might be as Christopher Browall. I think maybe on there.
Okay, all right, okay.
Christopher or Chris on there.
Okay, all right. But so you're a registered social worker, but you're not my brother's social worker, are you? Look, Mr. Browall, I'm sorry to.
I've never known kind of like it to be kind of. I am a social worker, but you know, you could say I'm your brother's social worker, but I'm a care coordinator as well.
Okay, look, Mr. Browall, the reason, I mean, we've had this conversation before. When you tell me something, I then obviously question it, and then you get upset saying, well, I told you something, and you keep on questioning it. All right, and that's the conversation that we've had in the past. Is that, you know, I go out. I sometimes, this is you saying this to me, that sometimes I don't feel like telling you things, because soon as I tell you something, you start questioning it. That's correct, isn't it? That's how you.
I've said that before.
Yes.
When I've tried to answer the questions, and the effect that has had is more questions.
Yes.
It's kind of like an endless task.
Well, yes. I mean, the reality is that, you know, the reason I'm asking those questions is, and the answers that you're giving me are not satisfactory, because obviously, as you can appreciate, you know, like, we're in a situation which is not absolutely clear to me. All right, it's like something has to be objectively identifiable. All right, so I can say, well, obviously, I can independently verify this. The things that you say that are contradictory, so obviously that raises more questions than anything. Like, for example, like my brother asked you a simple question: how much money does he have? All right. And you're not, and not no fault of yourselves, but you know that the authorities are saying, no, we don't have to. It's not our policy to give that. And then we said, well, no, it's not a policy, is it? Because a policy has to be written down. It's not your practice, all right. And then so that's the correct terminology. And so with regards to your practice, even if it is a policy, there's always discretionary ways to move forward. Now, in this particular circumstances, what's actually happening is, as you can appreciate, my brother's not receiving any money. And what I fear, and why I am being overzealous, should I say, is because what the local authority are doing is effectively negating my role or what I'm doing. Just in the case of my mother, basically they're saying, you don't exist to us. You don't exist in writing to us. We're not writing to you. We don't want to engage with you. We have no legal authority, or we have no duty of care to you as a carer. All we want to focus on is, yes, we understand in law that we have a duty of care to your brother because he's out on a Section 117, and we would rather deal with him directly, so to your exclusion. Ideally, that's what you would like, isn't it?
I'd like to be able to see.
Yes.
I'm happy for that to involve yourself. It'd be nice to be able to see Talib, to speak with him. You know, I'd be able to arrange for an interpreter. That is the way that it usually works if I'm allocated as a care coordinator with someone, rather than, you know, having to kind of talk with ultimately a third party, even though you are his representative. It'd be nice to be able to see Talib. Yeah.
Okay. Well, but the thing is, he's a service user, innit? And you're the service provider in this context. And whatever you would like to happen, I mean, ideally, if I was not on the scene.
I'll put you on hold just 1 second.
Oh, sure, go on.
Hold. Hi, Shazad.
Oh yeah, hi Chris.
Hi, sorry about that.
Okay.
Yeah, where were we?
Well, I'm not sure. I think I've lost my chain of thought as well.
Yeah.
I think it was. I mean, like I was trying to say that. You know, it was regarding your representing my brother, and oh yes, we were at this aspect of where you would like to meet him and speak to him with a translator and stuff. But can you understand that my brother is not going to be in a position to ask you further questions, is he? He's not in a position to do due diligence, and that's all I'm trying to do, Mr. Browell, is trying to do due diligence. And because obviously, under our, as you know, fully on our circumstances, something very nefarious has happened and continues to happen. So obviously, if you want to basically speak to my brother, at least that looks good on your paperwork. That oh look, I'm the care coordinator. I've seen Mr. Hussain, and it satisfies your paperwork. But my brother is not in a position to engage with you. He does not want to engage with you. More importantly, he feels the fact that you're taking advantage of him because he's a vulnerable person. And whatever you say to him, he's gonna like. He's not in a. Can you understand that he's not in the same position as to question you as I am? And you could take advantage of that situation, and that has happened in the past.
Yeah, I can understand. I can understand what you're saying.
Yes.
I think, again, the place where we're at is that, you know, his necessity, his capacity hasn't been assessed with regards to his engagement with the CMHT. So it's because with that not being in place, then it's difficult to say that he doesn't want to engage with the CMHT. But I
Okay. So Chris here, see this right here is the problem. This right here, what you've just said here right now, is that we do not, whatever you're saying, we need to carry out an assessment to say, well, we haven't carried out a capacity assessment, so therefore we can't determine whether that is true or not. So effectively, what you're doing is and I know that this is what you're doing. You're turning the law on its head and saying the fact that, well, unless we have some evidence to prove otherwise, we're going to assume something that he doesn't have capacity. But you said that you've not carried out a capacity assessment in relation to him carrying out, being able to engage with the city mental health team. So that would be a separate capacity assessment. And then obviously every single thing that then needs to happen, like can he decide where he's living? That needs to be another capacity assessment. Can he decide where he needs to go and where he needs to go out? That needs to be another capacity assessment. So the way you would rather have it right now is to have a granular capacity assessment for each and every single decision going forward. But that is only relevant when it's been established that fundamentally my brother has a condition that means that the assumption that he has capacity is being questioned. So can you understand? This is exactly what the problem here is, because you're manipulating the law. You said that there's been no capacity assessment carried out in relation to him engaging with the city mental health team. That's correct, isn't it? No mental capacity has been carried out in relation to can he or can he not. You're having to go on what I say. But can you tell me this? Has there ever been any other capacity assessment carried out?
Yes, I think there have been.
Which ones?
Carried out.
Which ones?
So off the top of my head, I don't know exactly, but I think there was one regarding Tally deciding to make a decision of where he'd like to live, whether was it to live in a care home or something like that, or whether to live at his sister's house in Oldham.
Yes, that was carried out. That was carried by Vicina Brown, wasn't it? To my exclusion, where Vicina Brown and Nadia Khan had broken down my sister's door and forced a capacity assessment. Is that what you're referring to?
Yes. Well, I think the capacity. I don't know anything about the door, but
yeah. But can you understand? I mean, how can I mean? I'm in this conversation with you. Should I carry a capacity assessment for you to be a like? Are you? Do you have the mental capacity to be a care coordinator? Why is my brother's? Why is the assumption, which is the first principle of the Mental Capacity Act, being challenged? Now, can you understand that if my brother has a degenerative condition such as dementia, all right, then I understand that he's not in a position to make his own decisions. So, can you understand that? Where do you get the authority to even carry out a capacity assessment, all right, by clandestinely, all right? And where do you get that authority from when you're not informing him and giving him the right to refuse? Now, when that capacity assessment was carried out in I believe in March. At the start of March in 2019, was it not concluded that he does have the requisite mental capacity to make decisions?
Sorry, what was the question again?
Sorry, Mr. Browall. I said when that capacity was carried out, as far as which you brought up regarding Vicina Brown and where he wanted to stay, did that capacity assessment determine that he does have mental capacity?
I think it did, didn't it?
Yeah, I think it did. Yeah, it did. Yes. So the question is that when has it ever been determined that my brother lacks mental capacity in any decision?
I think it has done. My understanding is that there was also a capacity assessment completed with regards to the court processes and it's my understanding that there was a capacity assessment completed.
When was this?
I'm not sure. I've asked about that before and told that there was one completed.
Oh, okay, all right. So was it the? I'm aware of one being completed, which was contested, which was the one that you're referring to. Is it the one relating to his finances?
I think so, yeah.
Well, obviously, you're referring to a capacity assessment. Just for your understanding, that capacity assessment was carried out in my absence whilst I was incarcerated, and it was carried out by Adalat, who was incentivized to ensure that he does not have capacity. All right, and for your reference purposes, the very same assessor came back to assess my brother, and I paid for him. All right, and he couldn't even remember that he already previously assessed my brother. So that's a contested capacity assessment that has no validity. But the last capacity assessment that was carried out, which I had paid for, which was in August, more recently, it's like you're not looking to take that into consideration at all. So this is what concerns me, Mr. Browall, is this is obviously fraudulent or malevolent because you want to determine the fact that my brother does lack mental capacity, so you can therefore, and when I say you, I mean the collective you, the local authority can say, we are now going to be in charge and responsible for this person. Yes? That is ultimately what's concerning to me, considering the fact that you've already, taken charge of his money and are in charge of over £100,000. So, it's in your interest to deny him his liberty by saying the fact that he lacks capacity in certain realms, and in his best interest, we're going to take charge of a situation. That is obviously what's problematic here. And obviously, my brother, under normal circumstances, if I was not around, you, the local authority or social workers, would be in a position to exploit him and and abuse his vulnerability. I'm not letting you do that. Because obviously I know the fact that my brother, can you tell me that what is the underlying condition that causes him to have an impairment of the mind?
Schizophrenia.
Does schizophrenia automatically conclude the fact that it's an impairment of the mind?
What's that, sorry?
Schizophrenia is not a condition that makes an impairment of the mind to make decisions, is it?
Can be.
Is it in my brother's case?
I think that could be the first stage of it. Yes, it could be. Yeah.
No, Mr. Browall. Schizophrenia.
You wouldn't be able to know without assessing his capacity. I would have thought.
Yeah, but Mr. Browall, my brother has schizophrenia since 1986. Okay? Are you telling me that his schizophrenia was an impairment of his decision making? And in fact, my brother has always made correct decisions. His schizophrenia is interfering, all right, with his mind at times. But that is only like it cannot be assumed that because he has a condition of schizophrenia that he lacks mental capacity. In fact, he's made on numerous occasions made the right decisions. He's made very logical decisions. And you know, one of the best decisions that he's made with a clarity of mind is to ask me to represent him because that's in his best interest. And he's continued to do so. So, can you understand that what's happening here is that you, the local authority, not the healthcare professionals, the local authority are exploiting his illness for your advantage. And that's the problem here. So the problem is not me. The problem is not my brother. The problem is you, the local authority. And we're at this stage, or we're at this impasse because you, the local authority, have then gone away and bought off the judges in the High Court and tried to force through a capacity assessment with a predetermined outcome that my brother lacks mental capacity so you can take charge of him. And that's exactly what you've done in my mother's case. My mother did not lack mental capacity, neither does my brother. You, the local authority, are exploiting the Mental Capacity Act law, because the Mental Capacity Act law, first of all, determines that it should be assumed to have mental capacity. And if it's determined, it should be always in his best interest. And you are trying to twist the laws, and it should be the least restrictive. What exact outcome are we looking to achieve here, where you're saying the fact that, you know, we're trying to resolve something? Is it least restrictive if you want to force him to have a capacity assessment to determine if he wants to engage with you? I just don't understand, Mr. Browall, because, you know, right now as it stands, nothing's being resolved because everything's failed. That all the attempts that you've been making as a local authority to manipulate the situation has been a failure upon failure upon failure. And now all of a sudden you want to have a multidisciplinary meeting with professional meeting where further attempts are going to be made to, you know, degrade my brother and degrade myself, because ultimately you've not established in any capacity that my brother lacks mental capacity. The court hearings that Mr. District Judge Beckley's been involved in, there have been no capacity assessment admitted to the court hearings. This was a previous court hearing where Adalat was involved. So, can you understand? It is yourself that are acting with malevolence. And then you're saying you're trying to resolve something. How can you resolve something when you are causing and creating the problems? I mean, look, let's just move on from this topic. I just wanted, the reason I was calling you up is that, look, you, the local authority, without consultation with us, without any engagement with us, have put us on a council tax. Have you managed to speak to the council tax people?
No.
Well, why is that?
I've tried to call them once, but I haven't had time to call them again. I can try and call them. Have you had any more letters from them?
Well, no doubt they're going to now issue summons and take court action. But the bottom line is, I'm just wasting my time here speaking to a situation which cannot be resolved. Like, you know, obviously, since you've come on board, what exactly has been resolved here? My brother is presently in my care. I'm providing him with 24-hour care. He's doubly incontinent. All right, he requires assistance with his eating. All right, clothing and personal care. I'm providing all that. Not being paid for it as of yet. All right, he's not got access to his healthcare GP practice or any medication. More importantly, he's doubly incontinent. He's not got access to his incontinence pads. And you know, all you've really done as a local authority is try to take over his property that's on my name, trying to put it back on his name, so you can railroad through the aspect of trying to get his property. You've got over £100,000 of his money, and he's not receiving any money. I mean, this situation is diabolical through your creation. And now I need to speak to somebody senior, and you're not even telling me, you know, who I can speak to. Because obviously you're not in a position to do anything. Me and my brother are the citizens here. We are meant to be the service users, or you're meant to be like public servants, providing us with services, and we have a right to refuse. But like, I don't think, Mr. Browall, would you agree that you're not in a position to resolve anything?
Yeah, I mean, that's partly why I've requested a meeting. I think I've said that to you as well. She said I'm not really in a position to resolve very much.
Okay, all right. But can you? But you.
I think equally, you know, from your side, and you say that Talib as well, you're not really amenable to very much compromise. And I think from the council side and the level of the appointeeships, they've got their own responsibility to kind of uphold the appointeeship in place. So they're not really too amenable to negotiate either. So that's why I think
Okay. And so if you're saying I'm not amenable to compromise, you're saying the fact that appointeeship is not amenable to compromise. You're saying other people are not amenable to compromise. But who's being financially advantaged and who's been financially disadvantaged through this present standoff?
So there's an appointeeship in place that's been approved by the courts. There was reasoning for that, why that's in place. I think that Talib isn't being provided. He hasn't got any access to his finances. I'd like to facilitate him with access to his finances, but at the moment he's not getting any money from that, and that's partly because yourself and you say Talib are not willing to accept the appointeeship. So.
Well, that's the question. The question I said, you said we're not amenable to compromise. Okay, so but through this standoff, who's financially benefiting and who's financially losing out at the present situation?
I don't think anyone's financially benefiting. I don't think someone's kind of counting Talib's monies in council coffers and saying that that's their money. It's Talib's money, but it's the difficulty is providing him access to that money.
No, I asked the question, who's financially benefiting and who's financially losing out given the present status quo, and you're saying the fact that we're not amenable to compromise. Given that statement...
I don't think anyone's benefiting. It's Talib's money that's there sat in an appointeeship account.
But the question is, who's financially losing out?
Well, Talib is because...
And yeah, he's financially losing out, and also I'm financially losing out as well as it presently stands, because I'm fulfilling those needs, aren't I? His needs are not going missing. He's not exactly starving to death, is he?
No, but I mean, he could kind of solve that, being accepting of the money that's in the appointeeship.
Well, no, I mean, we could have solved this. We could solve this by the council accepting the fact that my brother does not lack mental capacity. We could solve this by the council accepting the fact that I represent him. We could solve this issue by the council accepting that my brother with mental capacity has decided that I should represent him.
Exactly, yeah, absolutely. I don't disagree with that. You're right.
Yeah, no, just 1 second, Mr. Browall. And in fact, when my brother was in hospital and I had threatened to murder him if he came back into my care, your predecessors and your manager Nadia Khan, in collaboration with Dr. Shaukat Ali and Deepak Patel, came to see my brother, and they told him, look, your brother's threatening if we return him back into at home, he's going to murder you, and what do you want to do? And he said, look, my brother represents me, I want to go back to live with him. So that is on record and that was in I believe in March 2014. So he has clearly made the decision, but it's you, the local authority, that don't want to accept the fact that he's made the decision for me to represent him. And what you're not mentioning here is that you've mentioned the fact that, oh, we have reason to believe he may lack capacity because of his schizophrenia. But what the elephant in the room is, and what is the problem here, is that you, the council, have criminally convicted me of defrauding him money. So that's why you cannot give him the money. All right? You cannot give him unaffected access to the money, because eventually, you're an intelligent person, Mr. Browall. You understand that if you give him £10, all he's going to do is give the £10 to me, because he can't spend the money. Do you understand? So, I think, there's a level of intellectual dishonesty here, where it's Talib's money, and we need to get Talib to get the money. All right? That is, a ridiculous statement to make. My brother can't even go to the toilet without my help and assistance. He can't even eat his own food. It's a bit like saying my other brother was a quadriplegic in a nursing home, paralyzed from the neck down, with a tube in his stomach, and you're going to say, well, no, we need to get my brother Nazim the money because it's his money. He's not going to do anything with it. He can't even move. So similarly, when you say to me, oh, it's Talib's money and we need to get Talib the money, and this is one of the reasons that, the local authority are now saying we'll only give you a limited amount, because ultimately we don't want to give that money coming back to you. But can you understand that and my brother has previously stated when he was in Oldham, and like I said, he said, give the money to my brother Shazad. So, see, you, the local authority, cannot have the money coming to me directly. And we must grow through this charade. And it is a pathetic charade that you're going to give the money to Talib and say, look, it's Talib's money, and, we've done our duty of care. We've just given Talib his money. When you understand the full reality is that any money that you give Talib is going to come to me. So why don't you just give me the money? Why don't you do that? Why don't you give me? And the reason that you're not doing that is because you understand that you cannot give me the money after you've criminally convicted me of defrauding him the money. So this is the problem here. This problem, with respect, Mr. Browall, you're an intelligent person, and so I'm not gonna, don't try to say to me that you don't understand this. The problem here is the criminal conviction, isn't it?
Okay, I'm not completely up to date with all the law on this, but because you can, I wouldn't say that in itself should be a reason why you cannot manage Talib's money. As far as I'm aware, there's no law in place to say that, you were convicted of that, but that's not to say that moving forward you wouldn't be able to manage his money.
Okay. So, the problem here is this, that you're saying you're not up to the law, but you don't understand that it's just common sense, innit? If I've been criminally convicted of defrauding my brother the money, if you give me the money, if you the council give me the money, is that not negligent on your part?
It could be seen as that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so what safeguards can you put in place?
An appointeeship, I'm guessing.
No, what safeguards you've already got an appointeeship. Talib's not getting his money, is he? See, even if you put an appointeeship in place, there's no safeguards, is there? Because ultimately, because Talib's in my care, I'm providing him with care. See, this is what you're trying to do.
That's why I've it might be a simplistic view, but my understanding is that money for benefits is different than money being paid for direct payments.
Yes,
and I would see it's more of an issue, and it's more could be breaking the law with spending money that's paid for direct payments to someone, rather than supporting someone to spend their benefit money, which is two separate issues.
Okay, well, the thing is, you're right that there are. I'm glad that you come to the realization that there's two different types of money here. There's money that's the benefit money, which originates from the Department of Work and Pensions, and there's other money called direct payments, which originate from Bradford Council. Okay, but. So you understand there's two different types of money in relation to my brother Talib. Now, in relation to, like you're saying, that I understand that there may be something like more criminality based if it's direct payments. The reality is that don't people get convicted of financially abusing somebody, whether that's benefit money or direct payments money? The law is the same, innit? There's no specific law against like abusing benefit money over direct payment money, is there?
No, I think that's correct.
Yeah, so it's the same law, isn't it? It's basically financially abusing somebody by not giving them unfettered access to his money.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think the difference is maybe it's more provable if it's with direct payment.
yes, because
more separate.
yes, because so that once again you're right there, because direct payments is auditable. All right, the money that's in direct payments is audited. All right, whereas welfare payments are not audited, and there's no expectation of anybody who's receiving welfare payments to have keep receipts and records, is there? No.
I think you're right.
Yeah, so like the Department of Work and Pensions don't give you the money and say, well, every year you need to give us receipts for where you spent benefit money. They don't do that. However, direct payments is different, which is auditable, which requires the receipts. So this is why when we were speaking last time, I was a bit confused and I was a bit apprehensive, because you were saying that we want to give you your benefit money and then you need to provide us with the receipts.
Well, that's because the appointeeship in place.
Yes, the appoint.
We get to the same kind of foundation of the argument, isn't it? That Bradford Council believe that there should be appointeeship in place. There is an appointeeship in place via the courts, and yourself and Talib, question the validity of that and won't accept.
Yes, and we're not just kind of questioning the validity of it. We're saying it is a fraudulent enterprise. All right, because obviously, as you're fully aware, my brother has had a mental capacity assessment which I've carried out. There was a final hearing which we were not involved in. A court order was issued out, I believe, in May, so it's coming to be a year now. That was not given to us until October time. All right, was not posted out. So there's something very fraudulent going on here. All right, and so, with regards to, like you said in the conversation earlier on, that, we're not looking to compromise, or, I'm being obstructive, you can say, like, paraphrasing, that we're, obviously we're not compromising with the situation, is because, look, I need to understand that I'm not doing something criminal. And I need to understand that because you've already convicted me and sent me to prison. And I'm worried that this is what you're framing me and setting me up for again. I don't want to go to prison. Like, you don't want to go to prison. It's not worth it for me to steal money or something like this. But the present situation is that you've criminally convicted me, and I know this, for the very same thing that you're doing right now. Because when I was criminally convicted, I can assure you, Mr. Browall, that no mental capacity assessment was carried out. No statement was made by my brother that I was defrauding him any money. I had his consent and permission. In fact, he had signed over his authority to me. So, can you understand? Not only is the court protection order problematic and contested as an instrument of fraud, my own criminal conviction is contested as an instrument of fraud, because neither my mother or my brother, raised concerns about my mismanagement of their benefit money. In relation to my mother, there was no direct payments; it was all benefit money. She had signed over her, a DWP appointeeship to myself, and even then I was convicted. So, from my position, Mr. Browall, it's very, very clear. The local authority buys off the judges, and the judges simply rubber stamp the orders. So there is no validity to any of the orders in the courts, because the judges the local authority simply buys off the judges. All right, and so that is the reality that I'm facing. And so this is why it's a complex matter. Now, the complexity arises from the fact that the local authority are looking to basically exploit my labor, put me into this position, and exploit me and my brother Talib while saving money at the same time. Now, you say the fact that, the council are not putting it into their own coffers. I would choose to disagree with you, because we've not seen any evidence of a separate bank account that is in Talib's name or is allocated for Talib's funds. Can you confirm that is the case?
A separate bank for the appointeeship.
So is the money that my brother is receiving, you're receiving the council from the DWP, is that going into an account that's solely dedicated to my brother Talib?
As far as I'm aware, yes. I don't know how it works, but I think there would be an appointeeship. There is a separate account, as far as I'm aware.
Okay, so I mean, if I choose to challenge that, I don't think that is correct. I think it's all going in. Basically, what happens is that it is correct that the money that the local authority receives from the, because do you remember? I'm just talking about the direct payments, and I know this for a fact that direct payments money that the local authority receives from the government as grants, and also that is now raising as in the council tax. That's not ring fenced, is it?
Maybe not. I'm not
Okay.
sure.
Well, I can tell you that it's not ring fenced, all right? Because that's my experience. So ring fencing basically means that the money that you've received, you're allocating a specific fund for social care. The council doesn't do it that way. It all puts it into its coffers, and then it makes a decision on how it's going to spend it. All right. So that's how the council does work. Now, in relation to my brother's benefit money, if that benefit money, it can be going into a separate account. So can you understand right now, you're managing his finances as a local authority. You're not giving me any money, but you're also preventing me from doing due diligence in the money that you're receiving by also not providing us with any information. What would be the problem of the local authority saying, look, this is how we're managing, this is how we're keeping the money? All right, this is how much money he's got. This is how much, this is how much money he's receiving in these benefits. This is how much money that, so give us a breakdown of the benefit money. That does not allow me to steal the money, does it? If the case is that I was financially abusing him, that obviously you're saying you've got an appointee in place. You're not going to you're only going to give us a limited amount of money. But that's not only the problem here, Mr. Browall. The problem is that you want to put things into a black box and say you can't have access to any information. What would be the problem? I mean, this is a simple question, and this is why I think there's an element of malevolence here, is that my brother even asked you, how much money have I got? Even to this day, we do not know how much money he's got. That's correct, isn't it?
That's correct.
Yes. So why would you not even, why, you see, you're getting this money and you're not accountable or auditable, or, you're not even allowing, somebody to be in a position to scrutinize you as a local authority of how you're managing the money. If I was, and remember how did you scrutinize me? You went to a judge and got court orders on somebody else's name who was going bankrupt. You used his name and you got those orders secured against myself to go through all my bank accounts. Scrutinized them and found out the fact that, made something up about me mismanaging the money. But can you understand that? Why would you as a local authority and a public body not equally be open and transparent and be able to, for me to be able to scrutinize your finances in relation to how you're managing my brother's money? Why would that be a problem?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, given my criminal conviction, so what? What difference does that make? I'm caring for my brother. I care for his health and welfare, and I need to make sure the fact that he's not being subjected to fraud and deception because of his vulnerability status. Now, so can you understand that it is you that are holding all the cards as a local authority? It is you as a local authority that are looking to work in an environment that you do not have to give accountability, scrutiny, or open yourself to scrutiny. All right, so it's you that's not compromising, and you're advantaged by not compromising and maintaining the present status quo. So it's unfair and unjust to say that, you're not compromising, and allowing the situation to be resolved. Deputyship are not compromising, and they've got their own standards. I'm poor old me. I'm stuck in the middle. I can't seem to resolve things. So we're gonna I don't know how to go forward with this. That's not the reality. The reality is that you work for Bradford Council. Bradford Council is holding all the trump cards. You're in a position of authority and power. You've bought off all the judges, and now you're holding all this money, and you're trying to give us some spiel about, oh, where it's Talib's money. If it's in Talib's money, how come Talib does not have any access to that information?
Like we've gone over this before. That's just standard practice.
Yeah, but standard practice has resulted in my brother not getting any money, is he? It's like, it's not a law, is it? I mean, it's practice under what justifiable cause? Remember, you said that we don't want to tell you how much money that he's got, because that'll cause further problems. Me, i.e., will make further problems. And you've just given us some vagary that he's got over £100,000. You know, I don't think that's acceptable at all. It's a deprivation of his liberty. He has a right it's his money. He has a right to know how much money he's got. Number one, he has a right to have unfettered access to that money, because that's what you've criminally convicted me of, not giving him unfettered access. And also, I asked you the question of how do you propose to dissipate the money that he's got, because that's going to be affecting his benefits. So you've accumulated all this money. And you know, can you understand? It's like, it's not fair that you're saying that I'm being unreasonable here. I'm the one that's ringing yourself up. I'm the one that's suffering here. I'm the one that is having to, compensate my brother and take care of him. And yet, everybody's being very guarded, saying, oh, we can't tell you because it's the law, it's our policy, it's our practice. Well, your law, your practice, and your policies are endangering my brother's life. Mr. Browall, with respect, it's very disingenuous of you to say that, me and the local authority are at an equal footing here. That's not correct. You're holding all the cards. You've got the police on a speed dial. So should I do anything wrong, I'm going to be held accountable for anything that happens. But you, the local authority, have no accountability for the responsibility that you're taking. I'm in the position of having responsibility, taking care of my brother 24 hours a day, dealing with his incontinence. What exact responsibility do you have as a local authority? Who are you accountable to? You're not accountable to the OPG, because the OPG, the Office of the Public Guardian, in my personal experience, practically speaking, is the local authority's little, sorry to say the word, little bitch, all right? The Office of the Public Guardian dances to the tune of the local authority. And that's the same with that I'm now experiencing with the Department of Work and Pensions, the Care Quality Commission, and also the Information Commissioner's Office. The Office of the Public Guardian, is there not you're saying that the local authority are accountable to the Office of the Public Guardian. That's what you're expecting me to believe, and that's what you're expecting members of the public to believe. But is there not a concern for the Office of the Public Guardian, more importantly, that my brother's not getting access to his money?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's why I'm exasperated with the situation.
No. Why are you exasperated? You're not the Office of the Public Guardian. Why are you exasperated? The Office of the Public Guardian, as a rule, because obviously I have also previously been a deputy for my brother Nazem, is that you, the local authority, have to return annual accounts, don't you? Yeah, so you have to return annual accounts. So the Office of the Public Guardian knows the fact that how much money is coming in, how much money is being spent. Yes? Now, why? Now it's been several years later. Why? And remember, this happened in 2018 when Adalat was put in charge. So why is it the case that 2018, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 6 years later, the Office of the Public Guardian, whoever the new Public Guardian is not concerned the fact that there's money accumulating and there's no expense being taken on the account? Why is he not doing anything? Why is he not reprimanding the local authority and holding them to account that my brother's money is accumulating? They have got the evidence. The Office of the Public Guardian have got the evidence that money is not being spent. So why are they not doing anything? Why are they not concerned?
Why are the OPG concerned?
Yes. Because obviously the OPG, you're saying the Bradford Council is accountable to the Office of the Public Guardian, because in law you have to, whether I'm the deputy or whether you're the deputy or wherever, whoever's the deputy, by law, through the court system or whatever, you have to return annual accounts, don't you, in relation to the deputy or the beneficiaries' accounts to the Office of the Public Guardian. Yes, that is the case, isn't it? You have to do annual returns. Yeah, and as a deputy, you have to pay money as well. You have to pay, I think, in the region of about £200-300 to the Office of the Public Guardian. That, look, these are the accounts. This is so you basically have to you have to. It is assumed that you have to return these things and be accountable to the Office of the Public Guardian. Why is the Office of the Public Guardian at this stage being ignorant of the fact that my brother's not getting any money and no resolution is taking place? Why are they not in a position to take further action?
I'm not sure. The request regular updates, don't they? I think so. I'm not sure how much they take action on. I finish work at 4:30.
Okay, Mr. Browall, obviously we looked at a wrap up right now, but and I'm just conscious of the fact that it's a bank holiday weekend coming up, all right? This tax issue, council tax issue, nothing's being resolved. It's very, very infuriating and frustrating because the people that I need to speak to are hiding behind the corporate veil. Acts of malevolence are taking place where me and my brother are suffering. Every day we're suffering as a consequence of the living care crisis. We've got no security of income. We've got no security of accommodation. We've got no security of healthcare. We've got no security at all. And this is why I'm ringing yourselves up. And I'm just conscious of the fact that the Office of the Public Guardians are the ones that removed the lasting power of attorney. So they took your instructions, and the reality is that I'm still representing my sisters. I'm still a lasting power of attorney holder for them. The Office of the Public Guardian. The reality is that, practically speaking, has the Office of the Public Guardian ever taken action against Bradford Council?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
I would assume they haven't. I would also further surmise that they've never taken action against a local authority. They in fact work for the best interest of the local authority over the people that they're meant to be safeguarding. Do you know that the Office of the Public Guardian is not a legal entity?
No.
Okay, and the reason that it's not a legal entity is because I've made a subject access request to them, and they say we don't deal with subject access. We're a part of the Ministry of Justice. So they're a part of the Ministry of Justice. All right, they're like a body of the Ministry of Justice, and yet we're in this situation. Look, Mr. Browall, it's pointless having these lengthy conversations with yourself where you basically act to appease us, but nothing's getting resolved. Now, I asked you the question, you're not in a position to resolve the situation, then ideally you should just step back and say, well, allow somebody else to, take over. Are you willing to take a step back because you're not in a position to resolve the situation, and I really need to speak to somebody more senior?
Like I said, this is something that I can, speak about at the professionals meeting. That I will make a summary of all your requests.
No, you don't, Mr. Browall. You don't need to represent me at some professionals meeting. I don't agree to this, and I don't consent to this as well. Okay? Because obviously, what I would like yourself to do, you've confirmed to me that you're not in a position to resolve anything. I would like you to step back, step down, so somebody can step forward who is in a position to resolve something. All right? Because as it presently stands, I've tried to end the relationship with you several times, if you remember, in August and September, and then in November, and obviously, I've got no qualms with yourself. As you know, I try to get along, and I'm appreciative that you give me your time as well. But the bottom line is that I'm just wasting my time here, and the reality is that you're not even telling me who can step up, because they're fronting you, and you're trying to convince us that of things that is basically we're not taking the bait. All right, I understand fully what's going on here. I understand the problems that the local authority are having. The local authority fully understand that I'm charging them £1 million a week. They then continuing to do all these nefarious things. But irrespective, Mr. Browall, that I'm getting slightly exasperated because you're not even telling me who I can speak to. Who? It's a very simple question. See, you're not even like I've gone onto the social worker's website. I found out what your what is the social work number is. It's SW113439. When I asked you that question, you've been cagey. You're not giving me the answer. Why would you not give me the answer when it's open public information?
Well, that's what I said. I said to you that it's public information, Shazad. So.
But I would ask you, and you know, if you remember, you said I don't. At the time when I asked you, you said I don't feel like giving you that information, and then I said it's public information.
I said I didn't, and I said I'd just check whether I need to give you that information. But then I also said
yes.
that it's there online.
Yes. But why would you need to check with somebody to give me that little bit of information? It's not being open and transparent, is it? So I asked you the question, you said, well, I need to check with somebody and get back to you. Then I had to tell you, well, actually, it's open, it's on the public register. All right, and then all you said, well, yes, okay.
Why have you needed to ask me for it then?
Because to tell you the truth, Mr. Browall, I did search for you previously and I couldn't find it. When you've confirmed to me that actually you are on there, on this call right now, when you would put me on hold, I went back and double checked. I thought maybe I've misspelled something. So maybe I misspelled it before. Now I did find it because I put it in again because I was certain that you told me that you're on there. But previously, I did it, I think, a couple of days ago, and I couldn't find you. I think maybe because it was a mistake. So that's why I told you, if you remember, at the start of this conversation, I said that, I couldn't find you in the public register. So I asked you a simple question, and your answer was, well, I need to get that clearance from somebody. And then obviously I reminded you that if you're on there, that it's a public register. And then while you put me on hold, I did search for it and did find you. But can you understand that does not aid in transparency, does it? I'm not asking for something that's not even in the public domain. I should have a right to know what your your social work number is. Why is that problematic to you?
Because, as I've said before, Shazad, I've got to kind of question quite a lot of things because when you ask me things, it can lead to more difficulties and issues. So, yeah, I am maybe a bit cautious with regards to that.
Yes, basically, Mr. Browall, is it not correct that basically you're in a position where they've told you not to provide with any further information? So you're looking to be cagey. So you're basically looking to, be a guardian of information because obviously the local authority are plotting and planning in the background. I can assure you, it's very probably.
I don't think it's as intricate as that. Shazad.
It is.
I think it's more from my knowledge, there's an appointeeship there, and it's not being, that's from the local authority side is that the courts have approved your appointeeship, and then it's up to yourself and Talib whether he's facilitated access to that money. I don't think, other than that, there's not that much. They don't really care about me, unfortunately. Shazad, it's just like
Mr. Browall, I agree with you that they don't care about you that much. I agree with you fully, 100%. But I can assure you, I can assure you, they care about me quite a lot. They care about me very much so, and they particularly care about the fact that I'm charging £1 million a week. As comical as that may seem to the uneducated ear, the reality is that, as we've had this conversation before, this is all a labour dispute between me and the local authority. I have refused to allow myself to be exploited, and I've quite clearly made the case that I'm charging £1 million a week. I've actually gone to court. In open court on the 19th of January 2018, declared that this is my charging policy. So I understand, Mr. Browall, that you're not fully legally qualified. And the people that are in the legal department do understand that I have legitimacy in what I'm saying. So they do care about me. They care about me so much that they have problems sleeping at night. But that's besides the point. The reality is this, that you're cagey in giving me any information. The local authority effectively want to become, want to have control over everybody and everything. And they want to act as gatekeepers to money, resources, No, they want to act as gatekeepers to resources such as money and information, and effectively keep the public in the dark, and ask us to jump through hoops in order to get access to resources. That's ultimately how it works, and that's my understanding of the situation. But the bottom line is, look, the problem here is this: that my brother is not getting any money. Previously, how was he getting the money previously? Do you know?
Well, it was cash that was picked up by yourself, wasn't there?
Yes. So I was the one. And so is it conceivable that I was keeping that money then, wasn't I?
You were what, keeping that money?
Yeah, I was keeping that money, wasn't I?
Okay, right, yeah.
All right, because obviously Talib can't keep the money, can he? Because he can't spend the money. So can you understand that, this is the problem here, is that you're trying to give Talib money when right now you're accumulating it. If you give it to Talib's just going to accumulate it, isn't he? He can't spend it. How is he going to spend the money?
Yeah, with your support.
Yes. And so who's going to pay for my time to support him to spend the money?
Who's going to pay for your time?
Yes, because nothing's done for free, is it?
Well, that'd be your choice, I think.
So if I don't, so therefore, what other means does Talib have to spend the money, other than you spending the money? You understand? We've had many conversations. The problem here, Mr. Browall, fundamentally is this: that you, the local authority, cannot have me being his carer. That's why in August last year, you've reported me to the DWP, and the DWP suspended stopped my carer payments. It's very, very clear to any uneducated person. The problem here is that you've criminally convicted me of financially abusing him falsely, put me into prison, taken away all the money. I've come out, I'm now caring for him, alright, and you're trying to get him money that you're now accumulating. See, this is the problem here. The only way that this is going to be resolved is that you accept that my brother has mental capacity, I represent him, I'm his carer, you recognize me as his carer, but you cannot do that because that conflicts with your criminal conviction. So you're conflicted. How are we going to resolve this conflict?
Like I said, I don't know.
There can't be any resolution, because the only resolution can be if you murder me or murder my brother. And this is another concern I have. What happens if my brother dies right now? What happens to his money?
I don't know what does happen to it. I'm not sure.
Yeah, you just keep the money then, don't you? So there's a danger to my brother's life, right? If my brother dies, you're financially incentivized to end his life. You do understand that my brother's made a will, all right? And under these circumstances, I don't want to give too much information away. So I'm not here to share any information with you. But under these circumstances, considering that there's an issue regarding my father's will, my brother's will, my sister-in-law's will, now my mother's will, all right? Do you think that there would not be a will in place? And if there was a will in place, I'm not saying there is or there isn't, but if there was a will in place, do you think it would not be in my favour? And if it was not in my favour, whose favour would it be in? And if that will was not valid, which you would look to argue, as you're looking to argue in my mother's case, then who would be the heir? Who would be Talib's financial heir? And even if I was not his sole financial heir, and you would argue that all his brothers and sisters are as well, I would still become his financial heir, wouldn't I? Because I'm his relative. And I'm his nearest family member. I'm his carer, I'm his advocate. Can you understand, Mr. Browall, we're in this situation today because of the hubris and pride of the local authority in order to cover up its own tail and in order to cover up its own frauds. You don't have a solution to this problem that you created. I have a solution. And that solution is recognize me and my brother as sovereign individuals, recognize that my brother has capacity, recognize that he's authorized me to act on his behalf, recognize the fact that your criminal conviction was fraudulent and you need to pay us all the money back.
Okay.
But you're not willing to do that because Because obviously it's your public reputation as well, isn't it, at stake? Because it's going to come to the public knowledge that you have been exploiting on vulnerable people. Now, Mr. Browall, I'm just conscious of the fact of the time and stuff, but did you get my email last year when I had invoiced the local authority for my costs?
I'm not sure if I did. I don't recall that, no.
Okay, because obviously in relation to my mother and in relation to my brother, I think I do believe that I've sent a backdated cost invoice for the care services when my brother was unlawfully abducted into your care in 2018, September 2018. I had made the local authority are fully aware of this, that I'm invoicing yourselves, and there's a substantial amount of costs outstanding. So I don't think there's any way we can resolve the situation, because the local authority cannot afford to accept that they've committed criminality. So as a consequence, can you understand? I'm really, really concerned that me and my brother's life is now in danger, because the local authority have murdered before, and there's nothing stopping them murdering us again. They have murdered my brother Nazim. They have murdered my father. They've now recently murdered my mother. So can you understand that in order for you to resolve things, is it correct that if me and my brother die, that would resolve the problems, wouldn't it?
Okay, right.
Now, do you agree that there would be we are the problem, aren't we? So, you could just end our life. Well, Chris, this is the reality that we're facing, is that you have murdered, the council have murdered in the past in order to resolve a thing. I'm not sure you're fully aware of this, but in 2014, the local authority murdered my brother and tried to frame me for it and send me to prison for indefinitely, so on murdering my brother. That all failed abysmally, all right, and they got caught out, and then subsequently the sending me to prison for the fraud was a lesser charge. Because obviously I came out within a year and a half. The intentions of the local authority have been to murder my family, my brother Nazim, who was a quadriplegic, who was thrown off a 3-story building by you, the local authority, in 2002, survived for 10 years, and when I looked to whistleblow upon your failures, you murdered him and tried to frame me for that. That all, as you work for the council, you know how they operate. They can't do anything. They can't even tie the shoelaces properly, but they believe that they can do things. So they were so audacious in looking to set me up and frame me for my brother's murder. All failed, got caught out, and then subsequently sent me to prison for fraud, all right, which is now the consequences we're living through. But the problem here is that we're living in danger of our life here, because the local authority, and I don't mean you personally, but people in higher up, do really care about me. They care about me so much that they're looking to potentially end my life, and an attempt has already been made. They got my brother Adalat to poison both of us in November. I mentioned this to you previously, didn't I?
Yeah, you did, yeah.
And what's happened about that? An attempt has been made on our life, all right, and luckily we survived that. I survived that. Talib was obviously not affected, but can you understand? We're living in danger of our life here. And so while with respect, Mr. Browall, while this may be simply just work for you and it's coming to do your job and you're going to go home to your family, this is my life. Literally, my life is now in danger because you, the local authority, will never accept that you've done something wrong. Mr. Browall, you personally as a human being will accept that maybe you've made mistakes. I personally, as a human being, Mr. Browall, I'm going to confess to you, I've made loads of mistakes. All right, I've made lots and lots of mistakes in my life, and I'm owning up to those mistakes because I know that in order for me to grow as an individual, I need to take responsibility for the mistakes that I have made. All right, so my mistakes I learn from when I grow as an individual. You, the local authority, have never ever admitted to your mistakes, have you? And this is the problem. So, pardon?
The history of the case and
No. Sorry, I'm talking generally. You, the local authority, have never ever put your hands up and said we are making mistakes here. Like, for example, in not in adult social care, but in child social care. You do not put your hands up and say, look, we're failing here. These are our failures. The government has to step in and intervene and say you are no longer responsible for, in Bradford particularly, with regards to safeguarding children, because you cannot do it. You've not owned up to that. You've not confessed to that as a local authority. Your right as a local authority to look after children has now been taken away by the government. But this is my point here, is that under these circumstances, me and my brother represent a situation where you, the local authority, have to accept that you've made mistakes. And one of the biggest mistakes that you're trying to cover up and hide is that we talked about direct payments previously, didn't we? My brother was receiving direct payments. You were effectively paying me the money, but putting in Talib's name and making sure that it was in Talib's bank account. Then you, the local authority, had a duty of care to audit the money, because unlike benefit money, which is taxed already, this was untaxed money, so it had to be taxed. So you were obliged to audit it. And you did not audit it for 5 years. That was your failure as a local authority. This is one of the reasons that we're not even talking about direct payments. Direct payments is not even on the table right now for Talib, because you have previously been mismanaging your rights. You've been mismanaging Talib's direct payments. It was a duty upon you to audit it, and the problem arose then that the money was not being spent. So it was accumulating. And then you criminally convicted me for not spending the money and allowing it to accumulate, all right, when it was your fault that you did not regularly audit it. And just like I am now ringing yourselves up, exasperated, trying to find a resolution, I was speaking to your predecessors back in 2004, 2005 with the direct payment, saying this does not work. The social care system or the domiciliary care system out there does not work. I'm ringing you up, and you would your predecessors were disenfranchising me or antagonizing me, so I just didn't do anything. The money started to accumulate, direct payments started to accumulate, and it was your fault when I looked to whistleblow that this is a serious failure on the part of the local authority, where over £100,000 has now been accumulating for a period of 5 years, and you, the local authority, are at fault that you've not audited it. You, the local authority, got together with the police and everybody else and put me into prison. So you will not accept your mistakes. Alright, and I'm having to suffer as a consequence. So, Mr. Brown, we're at this situation, at this impasse, because you, the local authority, will never ever accept that you've been making mistakes, grandiose mistakes, because ultimately when you start accepting that you made one little mistake, you're going to have to say that, yes, we accepted these mistakes, and eventually you're going to have to accept the fact that you, the local authority, have been murdering people deliberately. And that can never happen, can it? Because if the local authority starts confessing the fact that it's murdering people, what is the justification of its existence then? The local authority took my brother Nazem, forced him into care in 2000. By 2003, they threw him off a 3-story building, made him a quadriplegic for the next 10 years. Failure upon failure upon failure in adult social care, and with regards to my family members, eventually you murdered him. With regards to my father, you had abandoned him, or I stepped in 2002 to take care of him. You endangered his life by not providing him with the appropriate social care. That was my father, alright? Then subsequently, look what you've just done to my mother, alright? You just kicked me out of the house and murdered her because I'm charging £1 million. So, Mr. Browall, I'm exasperated because you, the local authority, as an arm of government, as an organ of government, have got the game stacked in your favour. Everything's against us, and you're not looking to resolve anything. And you understand, I think your managers and those in charge of are quite surprised how we're still surviving. Because you've taken away my Talib's medication, incontinence pads, you've taken away all services, you've taken away all money, you've even stopped my care payments, and we're still here surviving, aren't we? So that's what you're trying to do now. And this was what was happening last year. In August, you and the housing association were trying to gain entry, trying to make a pretext so you can take my brother into care. Those proceedings have now ended, and now you're desperately trying to find a way to take my caring responsibility away from my brother. Mr. Browall, I'm just exasperated and exhausted and tired because I'm speaking to the wrong person. I need to be speaking to the right person who is in a position to resolve this.
Who would be able to resolve that, Shazad? Because, as far as my understanding is, the appointeeship is in place by court order. So, as I said, you know, when we first started talking many months ago,
Uh-huh.
is that you would need to kind of test that in the court of law or via a legal process. I don't think that anyone, you know, at the council will be able to kind of change that because it's now approved in court.
But you know, things that get you're trying to say that there's no miscarriage of justice, there's no falsehoods, and in this particular case, this is all just fraudulent. So the option that you're providing us is that we can go back to the courts. The problem I'm having is that the courts are no longer fit for purpose and are corrupt to the core, because not only in my personal experience, because I've been doing this for a very long time now, Mr. Browall. You have to remember that I was sent to prison in 2016 in a court case that lasted, you know, so that's 2016. We're now in 2023. I've had, you know, over like 6-7 years of dealing with the court system, and I know fundamentally the problem with the court system is that the judges are prostitutes. They just prostitute out their services to the local authority for a predetermined outcome. Now, nobody wants to believe me on this because the judges, by their very definition, have to be independent, and they are immune from prosecution. So there is no solution. So when a courtroom judge, whether that's a magistrate or a county court or a justice or in the courts, any judge is immune from prosecution, and the reality is that, like anybody else, they're full of fraud and corruption, and they get paid off for the services. Now, I'm screaming that out. No, nobody's looking to listen to that because that creates a constitutional crisis. The constitutional crisis is that the constitution, unwritten constitution, states that the judiciary are meant to be independent to do their job, and the reality is they're not. They're compromised. So the option, and this is how the local authority have achieved all that they've achieved. But with regards to the decision maker, remember the court and the appointeeship, Mr. Muller is just doing his job like you are. But who is the decision maker who's made the decision to have my lasting power of attorney removed and put yourself forward? There's a decision maker, isn't there? It is that person that makes the decisions. Today, and remember we had this conversation previously, the decision maker can say, look, with regards to anything else we're going to take control of, but with regards to his finances, we're going to hand over back appointeeship. DWP appointeeship, because the way that and I'm presently exploring this with the DWP, who are equally being silent, is that how did my DWP appointee be given away to Adalat or yourself? So not only is the court order in place that's fraudulent, you've started by the DWP appointeeship being in place. You're not in a position to resolve things. And like I said, Mr. Browall, as much as I'm suffering and as much as Talib's suffering as a consequence of this nefarious situation that you've created, I'm also very conscious of the fact that I'm charging you £1 million a week, which is becoming more and more justifiable over time, and your position is becoming unjustifiable over time, such as why has the Office of the Public Guardian in the UK, not raised any concerns that every annual report that's coming back to him in relation to my brother Talib, no money is being spent? So can you understand, it is in my, although it may be painful for me, it is in my overall interest that you are not resolving things. And as I've explained, every week that goes by, you know, it's a criminal activity that you're doing. Because you're saying that we've got a court order from the Court of Protection regarding being his deputy. But you've also got a court order from, and not only a court order, but court criminal conviction, which is regarding myself, which is what you're now guilty of yourself. Remember, I got sent to prison because you're saying that you've saved up all the direct payments money in a bank account, that you're not spent it, and you're not giving Talib unfettered access to his benefit money, which is exactly what you're doing. So, just to cut it short, can somebody explain to me in the council, which is not going to be you, how is it that you criminally convicted me for a thing against Talib, particularly, that you're now doing to Talib? Help me understand that.
I think the difference is that, you know, it's been authorised by the courts, isn't it? You know, and you can question the legality and the validity of that, but that's the difference.
Okay. But can the courts, or can you understand, if I murder somebody, I go to jail, don't I?
Yeah.
If the council get a court order and then murder somebody, does that make it okay?
No, it doesn't.
Murder's still murder, isn't it?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, alright, so what about fraud? If I commit fraud, I go to prison, don't I? And I have gone to prison, haven't I?
Mm-hmm.
If you commit fraud as a council, how come you can't go to prison?
Yeah, I know. I can understand what
Yes,
what you're saying.
because sorry to interrupt, Mr. Browall. The reality is that there's one individual, that's Mr. Talib Hussain. There was me, his brother, who had his authority and consent and was taking his money and managing his money financially, and I got sent to prison for what? For not giving him unfettered access to his money. That was what the judge directed the jury about. They said, do you believe that Mr. Hussain was not giving unfettered access to Mr. Talib, the victim, his money? And the jury concluded, yes, based on the evidence, yes, he was not giving him unfettered access to his money. So I'm guilty of a criminal offence there. That is the criteria that I was convicted of. Not giving Talib unfettered access to his benefit money. It's got nothing to do with if I had a court order or anything like that. This is exactly what you're doing now as a council, not giving him unfettered access to his benefit money. How is it when I officially was told that I did something that was a criminal offence where I went to jail, but why now you're doing exactly the same thing? It's not a criminal offence because you got a bent prostituting judge to give you an order. Can you understand, Mr. Browall, the situation I'm facing here, the problems I'm having? All I'm asking, I'm not even asking for the money right now. I'm asking you to give me a clearer understanding so I can make an informed decision. This is why, Mr. Browall, I asked you for your registration and I'm asking you all these questions. The reason I'm asking questions is because I need to be fully informed in order to give informed consent. I cannot do that if you as a local authority act as gatekeepers to information and money and resources, and you're not giving me that information, so I cannot make the right choices. I don't want to go to prison. I shouldn't have gone into prison in the first place. But I don't want to find myself in a situation where I'm acting against the law. So that's why I'm asking all these questions. And ultimately, the reality is that these are the questions I was asking initially when the direct payments were set up and everything was being mumbled. I asked the local authority back in 2004, if you're going to pay direct payments, give me a legal contract. And this is now we're coming to the second aspect of this. Is it not true that we've had this conversation before? The local authority cannot recognize in paying me any money because that would set a precedence, wouldn't it?
Okay, right, yeah, we spoke about that before.
Yes,
yeah.
So this is what the problem that I had in 2004 and 2005. You could not give me a legal contract that I should get the money in order to care for my brother, because that would set a precedence, because then you would have to pay other carers, right? So you didn't want to do that, so you did something fraudulent at the time when setting up the direct payments, which I was very concerned about, because you would not give. I'm asking, just give me a legal contract. At least it gives me. At least we both know what our rights are and our responsibilities are, and what protection we have in law. You, the local authority, didn't do that. What you chose to do was said, we're officially going to give it to Talib, but unofficially you can do whatever you like with the money. I did not want to do that. I did not spend Talib's money. I was forced to allow it to accumulate because you were not doing direct auditing it. But can you understand that I'm asking these questions because I don't want to find myself on the wrong side of the law? Because unlike you, the council, I can have my liberty taken away from me. I can go to jail. You can't.
Can I ask if it was possible for you to be assured that you could support Talib to access his money and that wouldn't risk you being accused of financially exploiting Talib? On those situations, would it be possible that you would accept the appointeeship?
But I mean, okay, Mr. Browall, if it was just you, I would take that offer, because I have a level of respect for you, and I understand genuinely. I after speaking to you, Mr. Browall, I understand deep down that you're not acting intentionally with malice. All right, you're just trying to do your job. All right, because obviously, no doubt, you're also going through similar, cost of living crisis. And you just want to keep your job. All right, and you're trying to do the best that you can. And if it was just yourself, that would be fair enough. But the reality is that you're not in a position to give me that assurance, are you?
No, I'm not. No, I've asked for that assurance, and myself, is there any way of providing that assurance? And, I'm not sure if they said that certain things could be put in writing and things, but I think there's a certain amount of suspicion on both sides, on your side and also on the side of
What, Mr. Browall? Let's just what suspicion is there? The suspicion is this: that you, the local authority, are exploiting my labour and murdering my family members. The suspicion that the local authority have on my side is that they're basically forcing me not to whistleblow. That's the suspicion. It's not the suspicion because obviously you got the money, haven't you? You're just suspicious that you want me to basically shut my big mouth up.
I think the thing is, I think this is my understanding is that I'm thinking if allowances could be made, but I think from the local authority side, they think that the more allowances that will be made, then the more the allowances that will be requested from yourself, Shazad. So they're very loath to kind of provide the assurances because they think that it will end up causing more issues. And from your side, you're kind of doubtful about being able to accept any kind of money because it might put you in a position of being accused of exploiting.
Yes, it can do. But so presently, this standoff between me and the council, who's financially suffering as a consequence?
Well, as we said, Talib isn't getting any money.
Yeah, and is he not the innocent party in this?
Yeah.
And is he not the vulnerable person in this situation?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yes,
well.
and are the laws not there to protect and safeguard him?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and can you understand at this present moment in time, I don't want to be placed at risk here. And so, can you understand whichever way you the council look to slice it and dice it, two things are not going to happen, and you can give certain assurances. And if the local authority wants to murder me, that's fair enough. But you've murdered my mother. I'm never going to be silent on this matter. All right? I'm never going to be silent on this matter that you've murdered my mother and you've murdered my brother. So it's not the case that you're going to bully me, threaten me, look to take my life away. I'm not going to compromise on this, all right? That you've done this. You're because obviously I could not live with myself. I could not live with myself, and that's not a life of me worth living in fear and fear of you, the local authority, because I'm dealing with some people that are so idiotic and stupid and retarded mentally that it will not be worth me living my life under those circumstances. So that's not going to happen. All right. So that's the assurances that the local authority want effectively, that will give you the money. We're blackmailing you to take the money, and we don't want you to like whistleblow on us. So I can't give you that assurance, and I'm never gonna give you that assurance. All right. And the other thing is that I'm not gonna compromise on my labour costs. All right. I charge you £1 million a week for the care and service I provide per person. So those are the things I'm not looking to compromise on. And because I am not looking to compromise on those things, my brother, who you have a legal duty of care to, is suffering of neglect and could potentially die. And that's not going to be my fault because I'm not going to compromise on these 2 points.
Yeah.
All right. So, where does this leave us? You, the local authority, have a legal duty of care. You're refusing to say, well, we have suspicions. You, the local authority, won't even speak to me. You're speaking to me behind a corporate veil, asking me to write things down, affronting someone like yourself, Mr. Browall, to, engage with myself. You, the local authority, as an arm of the government, and I think you're the 4th or the 5th largest council in the UK, are acting with malevolence, weaselly, with contempt, and, hiding behind the corporate veil like cowards. I'm very clear and articulate about this. Yes, I'm telling you, this is the situation. These are things I'm not going to compromise on. The local authority have been torturing and murdering my loved ones. By threatening to murder me does not change this fact. You can murder me, but while I'm alive, I'm going to expose you for what you've done. I'm not going to change upon that. So if you have suspicions, it's not a suspicion, it's a fact. I'm going to tell everybody that you've murdered people. I'm not going to compromise on that. And number two is that I'm not going to compromise on my care costs. I'm charging for my services. I'm not doing it for free. I've been screaming that out from day one. I've gone to court. I've written it down. I've told every single counsellor I do not do things for free. I'm not stupid. Alright, nobody does things for free. Even my siblings won't do anything for free. So even the fact that you're telling me we'll give you some money, you go get us the receipts because we don't trust you, and you give us those receipts, that's fair enough. You give me the money, I'll get you the receipts, I'll give the receipts to you, but I'll charge you. And I'm going to charge you in line with my remuneration policy. And you're not going to accept that. And you're going to say I should do it for free. I would not even, Mr. Browall, so just to be clarifying here, I would not even take the money that you give my brother, ask me to spend it and give you a receipt. Because I'm not obliged to do so. And if you want me to do that, I will be charging you money for that. And the problem there arises is that my charges for giving you the receipt will far outweigh the cost of the receipt itself. And that's something that you're going to say is disproportionate or whatever kind of things that you're saying. But presently the situation, what you've done to my brother is highly disproportionate. You've got over £100,000 of his money. You're not making any provisions in place. You're accumulating his money. There's no evidence that you are, putting that in a separate bank account or it's been ring fenced. As far as we're concerned, it's all going into your coffers. You're not providing us with any information, and you're placing me and my brother's life at risk. So, Mr. Brown, there's no confusion on my part, is there? There's no aspect of suspicion on my part. This is what I'm telling you. This is my situation. I'm very clear, candid, and articulate about my position. But the council are not clear on their position. They've not even responded to my invoices. What the local authority have effectively accepted that I'm right, and in order to cover this up, they're buying off all the judges. Do you know that the fact that we were talking about the Public Guardian's office. The Public Guardianship office is just an office run by the Public Guardian. The Public Guardian in my brother Talib's case was Mr. Nick Goodwin. Mr. Nick Goodwin is now in charge of Her Majesty's Courts and Tribunal Services. So I feel the fact that I cannot even go to the courts and tribunal because the person responsible for my brother's situation and also responsible for my mother's murder is now in charge of the courts and tribunal services. So you're basically stopping me from doing anything other than sitting here suffering in silence. So Mr. Browall, I would be open to any suggestions, but can you understand that you personally cannot give me assurances that the council will not act with malevolence against me if you give me the money?
No, I probably can.
Okay.
I don't know, but you're also saying even with assurances that you wouldn't accept the money and that you'd demand remuneration for having to keep receipts and things like that and provide evidence. So.
Yeah, because the assurances, you can give me assurances, but that does not mean that your assurances does not get me to work, give up my labour for free, does it? Your assurances are simply that you will not utilise the money that you're giving me as a pretext to frame me for further criminal charges. Yes? But that assurance does not come at the cost of my labour, does it? No, and I've been very clear. I'm not doing this for free, Mr. Browall. I don't understand how the council feels.
That's why I said, Shazad, is that the way that it would work is, if we could work out a budget, then it'd be a case of, maybe it'd be possible to provide an assurance regarding if we could work out a budget planner and then say, that money does not have to be provided evidence of.
Okay, all right. Okay, Mr. Browall, because... Okay, but Mr. Browall, with respect, and I know you're trying to resolve the situation, but any budget for Talib wouldn't necessarily have to include the cost of his care, wouldn't it?
But we've spoke about that before. The council's not going to
yes
pay
for the care. Yes.
allowance.
That's it. So, with regards to the budget, can you understand my brother's major cost is care? That's his need, isn't it? So, my brother's basic needs are housing, his needs are food and shelter, and care needs. So, the biggest expense is care. So, in any budget that we draw up, all right, it's gonna be the case that, like, let's just look at this practically, all right. Let's just say there's a budget, and I say, look, we've got like a utility bill to be paid, all right. So for example, and I'm just giving a hypothetical situation here. There's an electricity bill that comes in, and it's £100 a month, all right. Now, how can we put that into a budget? Is Talib going to pay for the electricity bill? And you would say, no, actually, we the council are happy to pay 50% of the electricity bill, because the electricity bill, you're living there as well, so you should pay half. All right. And so this is just in regards to this electricity bill. You would make the argument that no, we don't want to pay the £100 a month. We want to pay 50%, because that's a proportionate share that Talib would be having, 50%, because you are also living there and you should be paying 50%. All right. And so even that little aspect would be problematic to you, because I would be saying, no, I'm only living here because of providing care for my brother. He should be paying 100% of the electricity bill. In fact, he should be paying 100% of all the costs. All right. And you would then say, no, that's unreasonable, because you should be paying something. And I say, okay, well, fair enough.
If you wrote down a budget planner, then at least that would be a starting point.
No, Mr. Browall, Mr. Browall, let me just finish here. If you ask me to contribute even a penny, where is that money coming from? Where is the £1 that I have to contribute, which you would argue is fair? I have to work, and I can't get that money other than the care that I provided. Look, I'm telling you, the budget planner, although in principle sounds very reasonable and logical, it is problematic in the sense that ultimately you're excluding the care cost. So can you understand? You're asking me to do something that is intrinsically gonna fail. Just like asking me to carry out a carer's assessment, where there's a duty of care to carry out a carer's assessment, but there's no duty of care to provide those needs. So it's just a waste of exercise, a waste of time. Similarly, the budget planner, if it excludes the care component, the caring component, the care cost component, is an exercise in futility, and you can't escape the caring component. And so, yeah, we can set up a budget right now. I'm telling you very easily what the budget should include. It's £1 million a week. So we're back to square one. You, the council, haven't got £1 million a week to give him, and that's his budget. So can you understand the problems here, Mr. Browall, are the fact that you, the local authority, do not recognise that there's a care cost. And effectively, you, the local authority, are looking to exploit my labour to meet that care cost. And so we're just going around in circles. That is the problem here, isn't it? Because you effectively, the local authority, want to exploit my labour in order to meet the care cost. And you know, Mr. Browall, the care cost, social care cost, is a national problem, isn't it? It's not just a local problem here. You can read about the newspapers. There's a social care crisis. There's cost of care, cost of living now that everybody's suffering from. But the problem here is that effectively you're asking me to agree to, in a roundabout way, to compromise on my social care costs, aren't you? Effectively. And I said I won't be doing that. So how does that resolve anything?
But that issue is not resolvable by anyone at the council or anything else. It would probably have to go to the highest court in the land.
It probably will do.
So it's kind of an unrealistic demand, isn't it?
When you say it's
but really a resolution to.
Okay, but I did not create the situation, and you're right. This is going to go to the highest court in the land one day. It's not going to go right now. Okay, because it's not feasible for me right now, because obviously I've got other priorities. But the reality is, yes, this has to go to the highest court in the land, because this is a situation that I have not created. Now you understand, Mr. Browall, you've been speaking to me for a very long time. You know that I've previously explained to you, I'm a university educated person. I've had to put my career on hold as a software engineer. I know from my friends and you know, people that are graduated with me, they're on like £100,000 a salary a week. I can make money by pursuing my career. You, the local authority, are effectively sabotaging my career. I'm not able to work. Then if I'm not able to work, you have to remunerate me for my time and effort. But the problem here lies is not the £1 million that I'm charging. The problem fundamentally lies is that if we work out a budget and I say I want £1 for the care that I provide, that would be setting a precedence, wouldn't it? Because then you would have to pay the 10 or 13 other million people that are informal carers across up and down the country. So that is the problem, isn't it? That you're not looking to even pay me £1 in a budget that I provide a 24-hour care. Now, if you're saying that it's what's the word that you use, unreasonable, or regarding the my £1 million remuneration care cost policy is unreasonable, okay. Then what is reasonable? Because you understand that, are you willing to pay me minimum wage?
You know, I can't even comment.
Yeah, I know you can't comment because you're not. The local authority can't.
I said I finished work at 4:30.
Okay, Mr. Browall. Once again, I apologize. Let's look to wrap up this conversation. But please, Mr. Browall, tell me somebody else I can call, because obviously I don't want to be being given a runaround. Can I speak to Nadia Khan?
No, I don't think you can, though.
Okay. Can I speak to the Health and Wellbeing Director, Ian? I think, what's his name? Ian
McBeef. I'm not sure. At the professionals meeting, I can say that you would like to speak to someone other than myself and see what.
Well, you don't need to have a professionals meeting. You know what the concern I have regarding this professionals meeting? It can involve the police, and you can take some draconian actions to bust our door in. Please, we don't want to have our door busted in.
There's no police going to be there.
Yeah.
Me.
Well,
there's no police. Like you say, it's just mainly people from the council.
So what? So if it's people from the council, okay, well you should do that. And the purpose of this professionals meeting is that you should say, look, I've been allocated on this case for such a long time. I'm not in a position to progress any matters, and my brother Talib has been discharged from the doctor, and I would respectfully like to step back and allow a proper qualified social worker. That's what the family wants. We want a qualified social worker, who's dedicated, who's a social worker, and we're no longer having to deal with the trust, because pardon?
Right. The CMHT.
Yeah.
I mean, if the council were to provide like a dedicated social worker, would that social worker be able to see Talib?
Well, that's up to. And I very much, I don't know, because like I said, Talib has. You keep on going around that. It's my decision. My brother. Look, Mr. Browall, how is this very difficult for the council to understand? I tell my brother everything. He's a vulnerable person. He knows he's open to exploitation, all right? But he's conscious and cognitive, and he's had his mother murdered. He did not get to see his mother. Why would somebody in my brother's Talib situation want a social worker to speak to a social worker? Because he does not want a social worker's help. He wants my help.
Exactly. So I don't see what the point would be of allocating a dedicated social worker.
I tell you why. Okay, because obviously there would be no involvement of the trust, then, would there? Mm-hmm. So that's one less complexity, because now every time I have to ring up the trust, and I have to be put on hold for 20 minutes. All right? And I've made you aware that I have got your direct telephone number. All right? I've never called you, and I won't be calling you up. Because obviously I would like to go through the processes. I don't want to ring you up, be disrespectful to you and cut you out. I've got your telephone number. It was given to me by the housing association, court records. I've not rang you up because obviously I understand that you're a busy person, and effectively you do answer my calls. All right, and you do respond to me. So I would not need to harass you in that manner. But right now I have to spend 20 minutes dealing with another organisation, which is a Browall District Care Trust, who have got no involvement in my brother's care. They've discharged him. So I'm just trying to resolve a situation. As a care coordinator, I'm not even sure what your liabilities are, or what your. I don't understand the role of the care coordinator, but I do understand my brother's rights to a social worker, which is a legal right, you see. So my mother's had social workers in the past. Why can't he have a dedicated social worker?
Because I think with the older people's team or adult social care, that is a local authority team, whereas in mental health, it's an integrated team where there's the trust and.
Yes, but we don't need the trust. He's not obviously on any trust. He's not on any medication, is he?
No.
Yep. So what is the involvement of them with the trust? What is the involvement of the psychiatrist? They're not can't prescribing any medication, can they? Because he's not taking any medication. So I don't understand what is the involvement of the trust for?
Because he still has the diagnosis of schizophrenia.
Yes, and he had a diagnosis of schizophrenia in July 2017 when Dr. Dixon came down and discharged him, and there was no further involvement of the trust. So, I'm sorry, but I'm just like, can you understand? It is you, the local authority, have set up all this facade and structures in place that are so you can hide behind them and take advantage of them and say that we're doing something like this, we're sending letters out from the trust, and effectively you're taking the rights of the trust, or the emblem of the trust, and integrating that into yourself. I would rather deal one-on-one with the council. I would rather deal one-on-one with the decision maker. I've asked to speak to Kirsten England, all right, and she's not presenting herself. Now she's leaving, I believe. Are you aware that she's leaving soon?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, so obviously that's the most senior person. How it works in law is that any organization is headed by somebody, and the most senior person is the chief executive. The chief executive is refusing to, engage with myself. The decision ultimately the accountability for the decision is the chief executive, Kirsten England. If she doesn't want to engage with me and gets one of her subordinates to engage with me, such as yourself, that's fair enough. But the decisions that the council effectively now are acting in a criminal manner. And there's nothing I can do about that, is there? And I don't know where to leave things, Mr. Browall. I'm just conscious that you were courteous enough to say that you wanted to finish at 4:30. You've given me an extra hour, and I don't want to take up any more of your time, Mr. Browall. I'm looking to bring this conversation to a close now. I wish you a good bank holiday weekend. Just on a personal note, will you be going down to London to see the new king being coronated?
I won't, unfortunately.
Okay.
No. Will you be, Shazad?
Well, no, unfortunately, I cannot go because obviously I have caring responsibilities. Will you be eagerly tuning in onto the television to watch the king being crowned?
I'm not sure. I'll probably I'll put it on the television for a few minutes, but I don't think I'll be watching it, all of it, no.
But is he not your ultimate leader? Because Kirsten England is not the ultimate leader; it's the crown, isn't it? You're an officer of the state now, Mr. Browall.
It is, yeah, maybe. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I consider myself to be a free man.
Oh, okay. You're not a monarchist?
No, not really. No.
Okay. Well, let's end the conversation there. I don't want to get you into any trouble. You're supposed to be working for the crown. Okay, Mr. Browall. Have a good weekend.
Have a good weekend. Cheers, Shazad.
Okay, goodbye.
See you now. Bye-bye.
So we're on this call now for, let's see how long. I mean, how long was I on this call for? So I've been very polite and courteous and respectful. Oh, nearly 2 hours now. 2 hours on this call with Mr. Browall. Okay, and it's just a waste of my time and resources, and this is just further 2 hours. But can you understand the fundamental problems here is a care cost? All right, they're not willing to recognize that I have care costs and my labor is being exploited. So in order to circumvent that, in order to sidestep that, in order to kind of maneuver around that, they're like, it's all about innuendos and implied things and hush things. No, I'm being very, very clear. I'm never going to stop looking to expose the fraud and corruption of this Bradford Council, because obviously they have been persecuting and victimizing my family, and to the threats and this is the bottom line is, there's a serious threat to my life. But is that life worth living if you have to live in fear and subjugation of tyrants? No, I will refuse to subjugate myself to tyranny, and I would rather die. And if they want to torture me and murder me, like I think they're gonna do, so be it, man. But I will not compromise on my principles. And my principles are the state should not be. The state should be fearful of its citizens. Citizens should not live in fear of its state apparatus. We elect these people. It is our money and our labor that brings about the need for these people. They need us more than we need them. And so this is a fundamental struggle between the citizen versus the state or the proletariat or whatever. It's a fundamental human struggle of society where we elect government to govern over us for our protection, and they effectively make us subservient and slaves. That cannot be right. And so therefore mine is a fundamental struggle, not just a haphazard struggle. And fundamentally, what am I fighting for? My labor rights. Labor, and it's quite surprising that we've had election results come in now for 2023 local elections, and Labour have been doing more better than the Tories have. But Labour, the Labour government, the Labour Party, its very name is Labour. What is Labour? Labour is what they're fighting for, and what I'm fundamentally fighting for is my right to labour. Alright, I have a right to be remunerated for my time and effort. I work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, non-stop caring for my brother who they have a legal duty of care to, and they've been failing in. So, we're ultimately talking about labour here. And this is a struggle of labour, and they're refusing to recognise my right as a carer. And what they want to do is they want to trick me, like the white man does, the white man's tricks and games. They want to trick me into giving up my labour for free and blackmailing me. So because I love my brother, that should be done for free, and ultimately they get all the money, they get all the resources, they have everything geared in their favour to me and my brother and my family's detriment. And I'm saying no, that's not correct. I refuse to live by these rules and laws. I'm a free, like he said, he's a free man on the land. I'm a free man too. I'm a citizen, all right, and I want to contribute to society. But the state, the organ of government, Bradford Council, are tyrants, and they're murderers, and they're murdering people, and they've murdered my family. And I'm just going to scream out until my dying days that this is what's happening to me. This is how I'm being victimized and exploited by the state, who is effectively looking to torture me to death, while they have this emblem of respectability as an organ of the United Kingdom of Great Britain, that they are right and I am just some lunatic crazy guy. And the reality is this is a fundamental struggle of labour, of my rights, of my family's rights, and of freedom, because ultimately they want to make me their slave, and I'm nobody's slave. I'm a free man too. I'm a free man on the land, and I'm no one's slave, and I refuse to be subjugate to their tyrannical dictates.